1 minute warning!
To the goofball army out there, hi at the families, tell them to get to the next room, tell them to go to your neighbors, because we got goofball news to go over, and it might get crazy.
Typically does, guys. If this is your first episode ever, you got like 30 seconds before we start, so not enough time to go to the bathroom, but go get a drink, because trust me, you're probably going to need it there. In the meantime, the rest, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. That way you know about future episodes as well, guys. Buckle your seatbelts if you haven't already. Make sure your tray is in the upright position here, guys, because we are just about ready to get going. And like, oof.
Guys, if you want a crazy ride going forward, a bunch of nonsense, but all nothing but the truth about the Giants, listen in, buckle in, tell a friend.
Let's go.
And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, hopefully soon to be joined by Rob, who's having some technical difficulties here. But we're not going to make you guys wait any longer. We're going to get everything rolling here. We got a lot to go over. We got an episode I've been looking forward to doing here for quite a while. We did this actually last year as well in the hopes that Joe Schoen would be fired, giving you guys a list of potential candidates to go ahead and replace Joe Schoen, who, quite frankly, again, should have been fired last year. We were very clear on our thoughts on that, but I guess the Giants disagreed. And, of course, with that, we're also going to, of course, go over the recap of the week that was, the week 16, with the Giants losing yet again, but some good news from other fans of other teams there, you know. So let's get right into it here. So before we get into the breakdown of potential, candidates for GM, I'm going to give you a little rundown here. A current top 5 candidates to be the new head coach of the New York Giants as we start things off here. So, we've gone over a lot of candidates here, and obviously things have changed over time. And we have some people that I think would be a good fit. Now, some of these guys, I'll admit, they're with other teams right now. We don't know if they're going to get cut loose or not. But we're looking at top 5 candidates we have right now. Number 1, for me, is Mike Tomlin. Just going to complete another winning season there with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But they've gotten to the point where they're not happy with how far they've gotten, so he may become available. You know, I think the ship is starting to sail on that one because they've been winning more recently. But, that's still my number 1. If I can get my hands on Mike Tomlin for this team, done. It'd be something I would definitely like that. Number 2. A guy who just lost yesterday, and it just may be time for him to move on. Jon Harbaugh. There's been rumors about the Ravens getting a little upset with the way the season's gone. I know Ravens fans are pretty ticked off. They're used to more, that's for damn sure. But you got a situation now where he's been there for a long time, guys. And you see it all the time. Sometimes the guy's there so long, things just get stale. And that's kind of what it feels like. Things have gotten kind of stale there in Baltimore. So, he's number 2 if we can get a hold of him there. Now, guys that are officially available here on out. Number 3, the guy who just, quite frankly, stifled our offense yesterday, Brian Flores. Now, again, he's an interesting one because of the lawsuit. Again, I've said before, I'll say it again. Lawsuits tend to go away with checks. That just happens in life sometimes. So Brian Flores is a guy that I think would be a great fit as the head coach for the Giants. I think he'd change the culture. I think he would do a lot of things with this defense, with the weapons we have. I think he'd look to go bring somebody like a Josh McCown over with him to be our new offensive coordinator who can really develop a quarterback. A guy with a great reputation in this league there. So Brian Flores, number 3. Number 4, the non-sexy pick, Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy is a guy that, again, has won now 2 different places, probably has the most experience of any currently available head coach candidate. I'll put it that way. Because obviously I mentioned Tomlin and Harbaugh number 1 and 2, but they're currently with the team. And I get it. He's not the pick that everybody goes, ooh, wow. Like, that's not the pick that gets everybody excited. But he is a guy that has a proven track record. And I'd rather take the guy with a proven track record right now than the boomer bust. I don't want a boom or bust. I want a boom. The bust potential is not okay with me. Number 5, Chris Shula. Talked about him, defensive coordinator for the Rams. I think a guy that is probably going to be the top first-time head coach candidate in this offseason here. And a guy that's been groomed by McVay now, for many, many years now. They two are very close. And literally they were roommates in college. Hell, I mean, this is a guy that I think has been primed for this job. And you see the way this defense is working with the Rams this year. I mean, to be honest, not a lot of big names out there on that defense. And that's an elite defense. Imagine what he can do if he had Abdul Carter and Brian Burns and that kind of stuff there. He's got some weapons there. He's got some abilities. And from everything I read on this guy, he's got the mentality to be that head coach, SEO kind of style, a CEO kind of style. That's what we need. We need a CEO coach. We need a guy that's going to hire people, let them do the thing. That's it. So that's my top 5 candidates there. Let's get into the GM candidates, though. And like I said, it's a little deja vu here. We did this last year as well, hoping that Joe Shane would get fired. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, the Giants decided to keep him. But we have some names that, quite frankly, were on the list last year. And we got some new names as well that weren't on the list necessarily last year as well. But number 1, who, if we had to make a decision right now, would probably be my number 2 pick overall in this list. And I'll get to our number 1 later on, obviously. Number 2, though, for me would be Ray Agnew of the Detroit Lions. He's their assistant GM, 58 years old. Is actually a former player, was a 10th overall pick back in 1990 for the Patriots, and played for the Giants from 95 to 97 as well. Was with the Rams basically from retirement onward until just a couple of years ago. Last position having them was the director of pro personnel from 2017 to 2020. Then goes to the Lions, has been their assistant GM since 2021, been a part of that rebuild there in Detroit. I mean, let's be honest, this is the best first Lions team that any of us have seen, in our lives. And he would be a first-time GM, because we got Rob in the house. He would be a first-time GM. That is one thing that really scares me.
It's me, Rob.
I don't like necessarily first-time GMs. Again, I think I have the same idea with the coach. Like, I'd like to get some experience, but I got to be honest. There's not a lot of guys available with experience at GM that was good experience that are sitting there ready to go and aren't 80, 90 years old and not able to go ahead and step right in without having to leave the senior citizen complex at that point to come in. I mean, it's kind of slim pickings. I got to be honest with you guys, as far as guys
tough market
job and succeeded at the job before. But you got to think that a guy who literally came up through the ranks with the Rams, then came up then now to being the head lieutenant there, so to speak, for the resurgent Lions. That's pretty much about as good of a resume as you're going to get for somebody to be a first-time GM in this league. And I'm shocked he hasn't gone yet, to be honest with you. Again, he was on our list last year. I thought he would be a perfect guy for someone to do. And yes, Deb, not that there's anything wrong with senior citizens. I'm just saying a lot of the guys out there had success that are available. Probably their best days are behind them. So, but
they bring wisdom, Drew.
There. Now, the other thing as well is he's actually said to be a very key part of his success been reading mental makeup and kind of getting a good idea for what the players are. He was actually the one that pushed the Rams nonstop to go ahead and draft Aaron Donald even. So he's made some big splash moves there because the Rams did not want to draft him. The Rams flat out thought that he would not be a guy who could come out every single down. They thought he'd be a passing down defensive tackle. And he pushed and pushed and pushed and they did it. So, it's interesting. If you listen to Mike Martz, remember him, the old head coach for the Rams? Martz is probably the biggest proponent of Ray Agnew. I read an interview with him talking about Agnew, and I've never seen such a glowing statement as some of the stuff he said about him. And Marks was not a nice, guy like that. It's weird because Vermeil was like the guy who would cry on TV and talk about the players, how much he loved them and stuff like that. Mike Marks was the complete opposite. Listen to like a guy like Kurt Warner talk about Mike Martz, and Martz was a jerk to him in the beginning. He was testing him. That was part of his mentality and how he did things. But he was just an absolute jerk to him. But when it talks about Agnew now, absolutely glowing reviews about him. And they said Agnew came back to play one last year actually with the Rams and decided to retire during training camp. Realized he just didn't have it in the tank left, basically. And the Rams immediately signed him on to still be an employee and be in the front office. Small role to start, obviously, but they immediately wanted him in. That's how high they thought of the guy. So, like I said, I can't believe he's still around. And I don't know what's stopping him. We don't get involved in those kind of things. Obviously, they don't tell you specifics on why people are still around to have a job. Obviously, there seems to be candidates always that people talk about with that. Ray Agnew's a guy that might not have the experience of being a GM before, but again, he's got about as good a resume as you could have for a first-time GM.
So plenty of time to build it up.
Yep. So, next guy, Ed Dodds, 45 years old. Career began with the Raiders, actually, as a scouting intern back in 2003. Was a pro scout for the Seahawks in 2007. Became an area scout from 2008 to 2013. National scout for the Seahawks in 2015. Senior personnel executive 2015 and 2016. Then goes over to the Colts. Becomes the VP of player personnel in 2017. The last couple of years there, since 2018, he's been their assistant GM. And he's known specifically for eyeing talent in the draft. That's been his calling card within the organization. And let's be honest, the Colts have done a very good job drafting for the most part, minus the quarterback situation before anybody brings up the Anthony Richardson thing.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of hype behind Anthony Richards going into that draft, which we didn't see, but a lot of scouting talent out there thought he was going to be good.
They got enamored with the athleticism, let's be honest.
They did, but look at how they drafted a defense, look how they drafted, the offensive line. Like, those are parts of a Colts team that no one talks about that's been really good, which has allowed DJ to look good this year, which gave Anthony Richardson a little bit of an edge for holding on to the ball too long. But they've been great at drafting, which is something we have not been. So if you want to bring in a talent this offseason that's going to draft well, we got the first number one overall, you're going to trade down picks and get a whole bunch of picks.
That's my thing.
This is a guy you might want to bring in.
That's my thing. I would love to have someone that is a drafting GM, a guy who specifically excels at drafting. I feel like that's the hardest thing in the NFL to be good at. Like, you got to figure out, can this guy succeed in the NFL? And he's never done it before. Now, you want to say, okay, can I sign this free agent? It's easy to throw money at things. Let's be honest. Like, okay, I'll give you $12 million. Oh, somebody gave you 13 here, 13 and a half. Like, that's not that necessarily that difficult to do. You have a budget, you figure out if you want the player and all. And let's be honest, a lot of guys have a cap guy that does a lot of that work. Like, we have Kevin Abrams. They figure that stuff out. But, it's drafting. That's what to me is the gold standard for a GM. It's how many players have you brought in that were legitimate players for this team? And what I mean by that is obviously a sliding scale. If you're a day one pick, you better be a damn good player. You're a day two pick, you got to be a solid starter at the least. You're a day three pick, you just need to be a contributor in some kind of way, shape, or form. Whether it's special teams, backup that can come in and play decent. Like I said, it's going to be a sliding scale there. But to get a guy who's very good at drafting is so key. It's not even funny. Again, leaving the quarterback issues aside, because they've had all kinds of stuff in his time period, whether it's, Phillip Rivers now and before, and, they've had a slew of issues at that quarterback position. That's for sure. But that's what makes the Giants a perfect fit for Ed Dodds. We have a quarterback. He doesn't worry about that part.
And potentially long term. That's something I'm willing to look away from for now, especially if you're going to fix all these other holes we have, which we've been talking about since we started the show. How many holes we've had at depth at both sides of the line? The depth of our secondary. Bringing a guy that can plug those holes, if you will.
Yes, especially because if we lose on Sunday to the Raiders and we end up with the first overall pick, we're going to have multiple top picks out of that pick. Multiple. Do you want a guy like Joe Sheen who's got a 50-50 track record on first, round picks? Or do you want a guy who's with the Colts who succeeded and he's being credited by the Colts for being a huge part of that success? I want the guy who's been successful at it.
Yeah.
And
it has had the proven track record where his employer said, "No, this is his doing. This is what he wanted. This is what he got."
Yeah, that's what we need. That's flat out what we need here. It's just, I'm tired of losing because our people flat out suck. Look at the guys they've drafted in the first round. Tyler Warren. This past season, he's been a stud for him. Latu, the defensive end from UCLA, has been a solid contributor. Pay, also solid contributor for them. Anthony Richardson, obviously not so much, but we're skip that one there for a moment. It is what it is. Quint Nelson, it's a solid player. This is what they do. We just faced Ryan Kelly. That was a first round pick for them a couple of years ago. Actually, no, that was 1 year before he got there, I think. Let's see. That was that was his first year there. No, sorry, Ryan Kelly was 1 year before. So, yeah. So, like I said, that's. But still, you got the players they've gotten. They've drafted in the first round since he got there. Malik Hooker, Quentin Nelson, Kwity Paye, Anthony Richardson, Latu, and Tyler Warren. Besides Richardson, that's a damn good draft selections in the first round.
Yeah.
And like I said, that roster is just littered with players that they've drafted. I want a guy who can get homegrown talent. Imagine how much better of a scenario we'd get if Jalen Hyatt didn't suck, Deontay Banks didn't suck, Evan Neal didn't suck.
Just that right there.
And no one's going to hit 100%. We'd be clear on that. No one's going to hit 100%. I'm not suggesting that.
No, because when it comes to the draft, it's almost like going to Vegas or Atlantic City. Like, you're taking a gamble on a player of what they can do. Do you take it on athleticism where you can train him into the talent where he needs to be at? Or do you take the raw talent and see if you can develop athleticism? Or, do you get a natural stud? Do you have the opportunity to get that natural stud? There's a lot of things you have to factor in. Does that natural stud with the talent work into your system, or are you going to not use him properly and he's not going to excel?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that goes on. I also want to say real fast to Jay, sorry for a terrible day, man. Wish all was well. I saw in the comments.
Yes. Yeah, it's never easy regardless of age when there's issues with family loved ones. And, just hope whatever the best scenario can be for the situation is what you get.
We're ball busters, but I wish you well, man.
Yeah. Well, he's a ball buster too, but he's a good guy.
That's I meant three
bust top here.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's never fun time, that's for sure. Let's get to our next guy here. Y'all know I love hurting our enemies. That's one of my things I always talk about when we have a job opening. How do we hurt a team that we have to face on a consistent basis? There's one guy out there I think is an interesting, intriguing candidate to be GM that, quite frankly, is not talked about by a lot of people right now. Alex Halaby, 39 years old. He's the assistant GM for the Philadelphia Eagles. And he's a little bit of a different type of GM than what you usually come across. And he's unconventional, probably is the best way to put it. So he was an intern with the Eagles to start off with, 07 and 09. For some reason, he skipped 08. They didn't mention it. I don't know why. It's just not even on his resume. He was a player personnel analyst, 2010, 2011. Special assistant to the GM, 12 to 15. VP of football operations and strategy, 16 to 21. And has now been the assistant GM from 2022 and onward. This guy is like the secret weapon for the Eagles. You know, like every team has the guy behind the scenes that nobody really knows about, but like the fans,
if you will.
Yeah. Like I know we don't have that as the Giants, obviously, because we suck. But you know, like a good front office has this guy that's in the background, so to speak, doing stuff that nobody knows. You know, and this is the guy for the Eagles. Howie Roseman. Who, listen, I know we don't like the Eagles, obviously. We don't hide that. But you got to respect what Howie's done for that franchise because they've been damn good now for several years. This is what he said about Halaby. He said, instrumental figure in the front office at implementing data-driven principles. Called him a safeguard. That's a lot of, you know, good things to hear from a guy that some people will tell you is the greatest GM right now in the NFL. And it's hard to argue considering the results. That as much as I want to argue. It's hard to argue considering the results. This team reloads all the time. They seem to pick up the right pieces. They figured a way to maneuver and navigate around the cap, though I do think it'll bite them in the you-know-what one day. But, you know, enjoy the ride while you can.
Look at you, Saints.
But I'm saying they won Super Bowls. Who cares?
Yeah.
Tell me as a Giant fan, you wouldn't say, I wouldn't say, okay, we're going to win two rings next 10 years. And after that, we'll have, you know, 5 years of cap hell. Sign me up.
We've kind of got through that.
Yeah, like sign me up. I'll do it. Do that in a heartbeat. He's got 2 rings with the Eagles. And again, his higher Hurst Eagles. I would love that. This is like, we talk about, you know, analytics and bringing the Giants into the next culture, the next, you know, generation there. Here's the guy. This is the guy that does that to a T. Now, I'll be honest, again, we don't hear a lot of stuff about assistant GMs. This is not the candidates that you hear like nonstop. Like, let's get them in front of the media and hear what they have to say and that kind of stuff there. But we don't know how he works overall, or is he just the safety net, basically, for Howie Roseman? But I'll say this: he's at the very least somebody you should be bringing in to have a conversation with, because this is the guy that Howie Roseman trusts. It's worth a conversation. Pick his brain. See what he thinks. See what he would do in this scenario. Half the time, it's what interviews are about.
Yeah. You're not even like trying to hire the guy. You just want to see what they're doing over there that you could try to take into your organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's what we do. And that's what we should do with a guy like Halaby. Bring him in. See what he thinks. And who knows? Maybe he aces the interview and you go, maybe this is the guy we should bring in after all.
Yeah.
That's happened before in the NFL.
The worst case scenario, bring in the guy that you don't want to bring in because he was way better than you thought.
And Jay says he wants Howie and Big Dom. I don't think they're available. I think somehow the Eagles are not going to let them go anywhere.
Yeah.
I think open checkbook. But like I said, bring in the guy he counts on. Bring in his right-hand guy. And again, remember what I said? Back in 16 to 21. I was back to 12 to 15. Special assistant to the GM. Like, he is in Howie Roseman's ear like you would not believe. This is the guy that Howie trusts. You know, yeah. And this is the team now back-to-back division titles, Super Bowl winner last year. Like, you're going to take from the team. It's not a bad team to take from.
Sadly, that's correct.
Yeah, I feel bad even saying like Hurts a little because I feel like I'm being positive about the Eagles right now.
Yeah,
it's the truth though. It's the truth. You know, listen, we've had our stretches where things have gone right for us and bad for them. They're in the reverse right now. This is bizarro world. It is what it is.
It hurts to say it loud though. Okay,
I know. Let's move on then. Next one. Another guy we actually had on our list last year, who again is somehow still around. Jon-Eric Sullivan, 49 years, spent his whole career with the Packers. So Rob might know him a little bit there because of that. Training camp intern to start off in 2003. Football operations department employee, just regular employee of the football operations department, 04 to 07. Then becomes a scout. Central Plains Region Scout, 08 to 2011. Southeast Region Scout, 2012, 2015. Director of College Scouting, 16 and 17. Co-director of Player Personnel, 18 to 21. And then now, since 2022, he has been the VP of Player Personnel. And again, this is another draft guy.
I was about to say, this goes back to the whole, like, you're picking your GM based on the ability to draft talent. Because, let's face it, the Green Bay Packers have had almost a record in their draft for the past decades.
Yep.
Like,
and you know,
the worst grade you might give them is like a B.
You know what they do on like the Colts, right? They draft quarterbacks.
Well, no, they do like once every 10 years.
No, but I'm saying like they draft quarterbacks well. Like that's the one thing that Colts haven't been able to do. Now you have a guy here who he's literally been on the Packers since the Brett Favre days. Like he's seen the transition from Favre to Rodgers. He's seen the transition from Rodgers to Love. Like he's been around for a lot of winning and a lot of good times there in Green Bay. Yeah. Now, you got to wonder if maybe him and Jeff Hafley become like a package deal because Hafley's just not that high up in my list of potential coaches because of the issues from his time at Boston College. But, you know, here's a guy that, again, though, a drafter. That's what I want. Like, you know, they say the best ability is availability. The best GM ability is draftability. That's I care about more than anything else. And I know, I know that point blank, I'm thinking in the back of my head about that draft day deal if we have that first pick.
Yeah, it goes a long way. And the Packers have look at their free agent moves. This is probably the most splash they've had this year with signing on Parsons.
Yeah.
Other than that was McKinney, right? That they don't really go out and pick up players on free agents unless they think it's that Super Bowl year. But typically,
like
they trust their draft prospects.
Yeah,
and they've done a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I'd almost like you take it almost as a compliment when the Packers draft you. You know, like that's what you see. And like I said, it's amazing the success they've had for a long time now in Green Bay. And this is a guy here that you can do that. Again, he'd be a solid guy who would probably go right through the draft, build up that way. He wouldn't try to plug holes through the free agency. He would try to plug holes through the draft.
Yeah, keeping the cap down and spending on something that is probably worthwhile, like a nice blockbuster deal.
Yeah, and like I said, I do think he's going to get a shot here somewhere because of what he's done in that draft. I mean, look at that team. We joked around. We played the Packers that they have like 5, number 3 receivers, and yes, that's the truth. But drafted those 5 number 3 receivers, it's the Packers. Any of those guys could be like our 3rd best receiver right now. Taking out Neighbors, obviously, and Wandell.
That whole offense is pretty much 100% drafted.
A lot of it is.
Like, and Watson was like the first pick like 3 years ago.
Really, I didn't like. And they were right, and I was wrong. Look at Rashawn Gary. I thought Rashawn Gary would not be a good player. He's been a solid player for them for many years now. Edgerrin Cooper, all kinds of issues with him coming out of college. He was known to be a headache and a guy you didn't want to bring in the locker room. They did it, and I thought it was ridiculous. It was the right move. We talked about issues with the receiver room. Like I said, not having a top guy. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Matthew Golden, Devontae Wicks, Savion Williams. It's a damn good receiver room. Yes, it's missing a number one. That's a damn good receiver room. Oh, yeah, and throw in Jaden Reed. I forgot Jaden Reed.
Yeah, I'm saying. But Golden was taken first round this year, I believe.
Golden was. And that's the one. It
was the first time in, 10 years?
And I didn't like the move, and I'm wondering now if I'm going to be wrong because they've been wrong. I've been wrong before with them. But I thought he was a guy who people were doing based on potential. I hate drafting based on potential. I want to draft based on what I've seen. I want to see you excel in college. Why would I trust you to excel in the NFL if you can't excel in college?
But when you get scouting,
offensive line has been legit. It's been drafted guys. Look at the tight ends. Tucker Kraft's been one of the best young tight ends in all of football right now, and Luke Musgrave's been a decent backup for him as well. I mean, that's what they do. They draft.
Yeah.
We need someone who can draft. So it's interesting what Jay just said, though. So wait, we have to hire an assistant GM. We won't go for a retread. GMs only get one job normally. It's funny you say that because the guy who I would hire right now, again, not being in the room, not doing the interviews and stuff like that, just based off resume, is a retread. Thomas Dimitroff. Still just 59 years old. I say just, but it's not like he's 20, but you know what I mean. He's got plenty of football years left. Started his football career back in 1990, being a scout coordinator for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Saskatchewan, did 2 years of that, moved on to the World League of American Football, where he was an NFL scout. Basically, what they would do is they'd ask him to go find scrubs to go overseas and play for that league at that point, basically. Was the Chiefs scout back in 1993. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. You won't find this on his resume because this is not something you would usually put on a resume. He was actually a part-time scout for the Chiefs. His other job was a groundskeeper for the Cleveland Browns. And he got that job because his dad was on Bill Belichick's staff there. And we'll get more to Belichick, obviously. But yeah, he was a groundskeeper on the Browns and a part-time scout for the Chiefs at the same time.
That's a hell of a resume.
That is. Then he goes next to the Lions, where he's a scout from 94 to 97. Goes back to the Browns. He's a scout from 98 to 2001. Then gets called back in by Bill Belichick. Again, Belichick worked with his dad. Belichick followed him, his career and all. Becomes a national scout for the Patriots in 2002. Then becomes the director of college scouting for the Patriots 03 to 07. Now, keep in mind, back then, the Patriots were a damn good drafting team. Notice again the theme. I want guys who can draft. Then he gets his job as a GM. Atlanta Falcons. Now, I don't have a picture up. He's got the fancy hair. That's how I always remember. He's got a nice head of hair. Again, as a balding man myself. Guy with the glasses. Looks like he, was a part of a late 80s band playing the guitar or something. That's what he looks like. But like I said, he was with the Falcons for a lot of years. 2008 to 2020. That's a good run. That's a solid run as a GM. And that means you've been through like multiple eras. And he was the guy who was the GM for the Matt Ryan years. He's the guy who drafted Matt Ryan. He made the right call, by the way, on that. Matt Ryan was a hell of a quarterback. During his time as the GM, the team's record 109-87. Half of his full seasons ended up with double-digit wins. Just 3 of his seasons were under 500.
Take that in a heartbeat.
I don't understand why he hasn't gotten a second job. I really don't. Now, after he went left the Falcons, so I should say the Falcons made him leave. They fired, Militia might have forgotten, they started 0-4 in 2020. They fired him and Dan Quinn both after 4 games into that season.
Yes.
But he went and helped create Summer Sports, which is a football analytics company after that, and kind of took a couple years off. Well, last year he interviewed with the Jets and the Titans for their GM positions. So he's looking to get back in. He also was a consultant with the Saints this year, or should I say is, I guess. But here's a guy with a resume. He really built a roster that should have won a Super Bowl in Atlanta if it wasn't for the most historic meltdown in Super Bowl history. I mean, on occasionally Falcons fans watching, I don't want to repeat what happened there, but y'all know. It was really bad. It was really sad. They're still crying, eating peaches, talking about it. It is what it is.
Really, it's peaches.
But the one issue with him, really, that I have is he failed to reset in Atlanta. And I'm hoping that's a lesson he learned, because the last 2 years before he got fired, he went 7-9. That's that team went, I should say, 7-9. And then again, he went 0-4 that last year, and they cut him. What it boils down to, it is one of the most important things for a GM to know what to do is when to cut their losses. Not to keep on signing older guys to massive contracts and move on, get younger, have an influx of talent, have the next guy up sitting there right behind him ready to go. That's what made the Patriots so good for so long.
Yeah.
I remember they traded guys away and he'd be like, what? Why would you trade him away? He's still so good. You know, like Richard Seymour getting traded to the Raiders, for example. He didn't do jack or shit after he got left there. You know, like they let Wes Walker go, and he had a couple good years with the Broncos, but he didn't have any more years left. They knew when to move on, and they brought in Julian Edelman. Like, that's what they do.
They were good at also replacing the people and saving their cap that way.
Yes. That's what the Giants need to do. So you're telling me I got a guy here who made an obvious, crucial mistake that he can hopefully learn from, had a run of 13 seasons or 12 and a half, whatever you want to say, as the GM for one team, which is like unheard of in modern NFL. This is the one. To me, this is the guy I want. This guy has that experience. I want a guy with experience. I want a guy who's done this before. I want to know that this guy can control a room. I want to know that he can go ahead and talk to the media. I want to know he can do the things that an assistant GM doesn't necessarily have to do. Same as a head coach. If we hire somebody who's never done it before, we're taking a risk. Now, this guy comes with other risks, obviously, as they all do. But those risks specifically are not there. You know they can handle the job. He's done it. And maybe he can keep the grounds clean while he's there too. You know, groundskeeper Willie, the GM. All right, we got one more guy. Then we're gonna pay the bills and get into our recap of Week 16. And honestly, I'm including this guy because y'all love this guy forever. You know, usually they say when a team is not doing good, the backup quarterback is like the talk of the town. For the Giants, for the last couple of years, it's been the assistant GM. I can't tell you how many years I've seen now, people want to talk about getting rid of Joe Schoen and be like, oh, just fire Joe Schoen and give Brandon Brown the job. So we're going to include him. What the hell? I wouldn't give him the job. Let's talk about it. 37 years old. Started his career off as the Jets pro personnel intern in 2012. Then goes to Boston College. As a recruiting specialist in 2013. Assistant Director of Player Personnel, 2014. Goes to the Colts then. Scouting Assistant in 15. Advanced Scout in 2016. Then goes to the Eagles. Assistant Director of Pro Scouting, 17 and 18. Director of Pro Scouting, 19 and 20. Director of Player Personnel in 2021. And obviously now he's been our assistant GM 2022 and onward. And Deb's already hit the nail on the head for me. I want nothing to do with anybody that is currently in this front office. Nothing. And that's what I've said before. People were like, "Oh, Brandon Brown should the job." Why would, if this regime has failed you, why would you want to get the guy who's the second highest ranking person in this regime the job?
We've talked about it before. Like, yes, does he have the potential, like credentials where possibly, maybe, but if all he knows at this point is how to lose with a losing team, that's not the guy you want to bring in to teach a winning record to a new team, to rebuild the team. You want to hire from outside. You want to take in and bring in that record. Maybe down the road, listen, if you bring him, they keep him here, and you bring in, one of these GMs, you turn around and start winning.
But it also could be like a scenario where the Giants, from their talks with the front office, knows that Brandon Brown was right about everything, and Joe Shane was wrong about everything. You still can't do it. Because good luck, whether people, I know people don't admit this. I should say, I don't know whether people want to admit it. I know they don't want to admit it. This is a business. And we are the consumers. And good luck telling Giants fans that you hire Joe Shane's assistant to replace him. Like, try spinning that. Well, Joe Shane sucks, so we got the next guy up.
Yeah, the guy that didn't take his job. Here he is.
But that's what you would have to basically say. And as Deb says, had a couple interviews and hasn't picked. That's correct. Again, I even hate to say it, but I'm going to say it because it's the truth, unfortunately. There's always the potential he was there for the Rooney Rule because he does fit those criteria, obviously. I don't know. I can't imagine anybody's looking at this Giants team and going, "Oh, this would be a great guy to talk to right now to take the promotion. Look how good the Giants are doing."
That's exactly what I was about to say. It's like, do you really want to promote the guy that's been now on the losing team for the past 3 years?
Yeah.
Like, when he came in that first year, wow, look at us. We got to the playoffs. Great job, guys. Woohoo. And haven't won the same amount of games since that first season, pretty much.
But again, this is a scenario where you got a guy that we don't know what his thoughts are because everything has to be unified front, obviously, in the front end. They're not going to go at the end of the press conference and say, "Well, Brandon Brown really didn't want Deonte Banks, but I overruled him." Like, Joe Shane's not going to say that. So we don't know. I don't think, though, that this has gone well for Brandon Brown either. He went from being the guy that, like I said, was kind of like the backup QB version of an assistant GM. Everybody wanted him to replace Joe Shane. I feel like he's now the guy that he might just have to go back to Philly. Like, I can see that kind of scenario where he goes back to Philly and goes back to there, builds himself back up again, and gets a second shot somewhere else to be an assistant GM or a GM or, something along those lines. Or, maybe we take Alex Halaby, the assistant GM for them, I talked about, earlier, and maybe he goes to be their assistant GM. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jay says, wouldn't you love to hear Mara ask Brandon Brown what he would have done differently? I would love to hear that conversation in general. And I wish you can get that kind of information, but there's no way to get it. Now, Mara can get it, but he's not going to share it.
Probably not.
We'll see what happens there. But all right, let's pay the bills real quick, and then we're going to do our Week 16 recap.
Thanks for watching. Like the show? Of course you do, or you would have turned it off by now and not be hearing me. There are plenty of ways to support the show. YouTube is the best place to join us, and we offer memberships there with fun benefits like custom emojis and early access to video clips. Of course, there you can also send super chats and stickers to send one-time support payments. The best way to support the show is to buy these drunk idiots beers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Along with one-time support payments, there are also monthly plans, so you can continue to help kill their livers each month. You can also show people that you are a goofball by visiting our store at 2giantgoofballs-shop.fourthwall.com. We got everything from shirts, hats, phone cases, funny candles, buttons, stickers, and even a 2 Giant Goofballs towel to dry off your goofballs. Of course, you can always support the show for free by simply hitting the like, subscribe, and share button wherever you are watching or listening to this. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show tremendously, and quite frankly, the goofballs suck at marketing and need your help to get the word out. Thank you for being part of the Goofball Army and for taking the time out to support the show.
All righty, guys. Let's get into our breakdown here of the Week 16 here, because we got playoff moves going crazy. We got draft moves going like crazy. All kinds of stuff. This is what happens at the end of the year. It's all about jockeying for position, whether it's jockeying for a draft pick or jockeying for a division title or a playoff berth. There's still something basically for everybody as a result. Obviously, we always start off with our Thursday games. Seahawks at the Rams. And what a game that was. Goddamn. That was a great game. I loved watching the end of that game.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because you won. Who were your picks?
I did, but regardless, that was a fun end of the game there. I mean, Seahawks squeak out a victory there, 38-37. Seattle lead one overtime thanks to successful 2-point conversion. Darnold threw for 2 picks. Ash had 2 touchdowns late in the game as well. So, it's absolutely crazy. Puka Nacua, 225 yards in the game. So absolutely
stellar game.
ESPN Analytics literally had the Rams at a 97% chance of winning that game in the fourth quarter, and then lost it.
Absurd.
Absolutely insane. So let's move on to Saturday, Rob.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised with that. All right. You got Commanders hosting Saturday. Commanders host the Eagles. Yeah, this game wasn't really close. It was close for about 10 minutes of football, but Eagles, part of my pun, flew away with this one, 29-18. And with that win, they clinched NFC East, so they go to the playoffs. First time since 2004 since NFC had 2 repeat winners.
Yeah, NFC East always that rotating. Everybody but the Giants get turned with the divisional title. But
we've got it a couple times, not too many.
In 20 years, we've got it maybe twice.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I'm right.
I know.
But
yeah, the Eagles just did not look good. The biggest thing that changed the game was Cooper DG's interception, which allowed Barkley to get that touchdown, which put them in double digits. Mariota looked okay in this game, but wound up leaving because his hand got messed up. And then at that time, the Commanders were leading. And like I said, that's about the 10 minutes of football where went on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh Johnson, of all people, had to come in. I can't believe he's still in the league. He's like 67 years old now at this point. Has played for every single team in the NFL, UFL, XFL.
It's amazing. The man with 2 first names.
I gotta say, it's kind of an interesting life, though. I mean, think about all the places he's traveled, all the things he's done in that time period. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long career. But otherwise, from this game, you got to look at the Commanders' offensive line. Got even more banged up, which probably means they're not going to win many more games after this, especially since
they didn't win any with them either. So who cares?
Yeah, good point. The big takeaway is the Birds again. Which I hate to talk about it, but yeah, Dallas Goedert, who got 10 receiving touchdowns on, well, not in this game, but for the season
game record, NFL record in receiving touchdowns in one game.
Well, he's looking for a single season record for the Eagles, so that's the only thing you go for.
That's something. So.
It's something.
Then we got our second game on Saturday that Rob thought I was going to give him, but nope. I don't do it on purpose. I told you. The Packers.
I can see you counted half the time.
The Packers at the Bears. I really don't. I count after you make the laugh because I can realize what I did. Bears win 22-16. Jordan Love had to lead the game with a concussion. Let's be honest. The second that happened, the game was over. Malik Willis is just not a good quarterback. I'm sorry. But, we'll see what happens, how he's going to be, see if he's going to be, back to playing in general, or they just shut him down for the year. I mean, you got to think of the concussion. We have to leave the game. You're probably out the next week.
Who will they play this week?
I'd have to look, to be honest with you.
It's the Vikings. No, they probably just play the Vikings. They're playing Broncos. Oh, no, sorry. They're playing the Ravens.
Yeah, but I mean, where are they at standings-wise? That's the problem.
They're in the playoffs right now, as it sits. Right. And they need to continue winning.
Where are they at danger-wise with that at that point,
It is hard to say. Because this team,
why would you put him back in if you don't have to,
It's a fight. They their standing's pretty good right now, but it's
actually they're out of it right now.
But they have to win out, right? They got 9 wins.
Somehow they're out. Yeah, they get 9 wins.
So they're still mathematically
the Seahawks, the Bears, the Eagles, and what the heck? Oh, because they haven't clinched yet. Okay, I take it back. They're doing it weird. This is the NFL.com playoff picture. They're doing it weird because they didn't have they didn't have anything at all for the NFC South. And I'm like, wait a minute, somebody has to go. We may not want them to go, but somebody has to go. So yeah, right now the Packers are in the last playoff spot.
Yeah, they're in potential.
Yeah, they're number 7. So, and the biggest competition is ironically enough the Lions. So, but they got a 1.5 game lead on them because of that a tie with the Cowboys. Ironically, watch that come back to bite them in the butt. But yeah,
it's something that I've had an argument about quite a bit.
Ooh, that could be bad. I didn't realize how bad that was there. But anyway, to the game itself there. Chicago had to force overtime to win, recovered an onside kick to go ahead and score a final touchdown to get that forced into overtime. Just absolutely crazy how bad this team was, the Packers in the red zone. 5 trips inside the Bears 20, not a single touchdown. This is what happens when you put Malik Willis in. I'm sorry. He's not a good quarterback. I've said it for years.
They made him look serviceable last year when Love got hurt. I think like week 2 or 3. He looks serviceable.
A quarterback. He's a good third quarterback.
He's a great third-string quarterback. You're right.
That's exactly what he is. So, but yeah, game ended on a Caleb Williams 46-yard touchdown pass to DJ Moore. So,
absolutely absurd.
Yeah, it was a good throw actually too. So, next game,
we got the Buccaneers going into Carolina. And what the Buck is right, because this game, the Buccaneers, it was back and forth. It was a fun game to watch. I thought the Bucs were definitely going to have it, but Panthers said no. Safety ransom, pretty much with that late game interception. Seal the deal for the Panthers. Bucs lose 20-23. Bryce Young. He looked all right, but what he's done is something that I didn't think was going to be a stat.
He's not a stats guy.
No, as I'm saying, stats are saying, but here's a stat for you: 12 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter overtime since entering the league in 2023. And he didn't play much in 2023, so it's the last 2 years. So kudos to him for making a little bit of a turnaround.
And what's crazy is think about that. This guy who lost his job, has been talked about being a bad quarterback. That's four game-winning drives there in 3 years with all that going on for a team that wins like 4 games a season usually.
Not anymore.
Different.
Yeah. But
So,
yeah, the question about this game too is like Baker Mayfield's health. Was he fully healthy for this game or not?
I don't think he's been healthy.
I'm not sure. I don't think so either. He looked a little banged up. He looked a little shaken up. He actually kind of looks a little heavier. Like, is he on some kind of steroid to?
I don't think steroids are allowed in football.
Well, no, not that type of steroid. Jerk.
He's been healing up Barry Bonds lately.
Yeah. No, I bet some kind of steroids because like he was talking about like his arm being messed up. He's talking about some of his ribs. Or he's shooting him something just like is he getting some kind of pharmaceutical tranquilizer?
He's giving horse tranquilizers.
Yeah, just give him horse tranquilizers. But because of that health, that's when he threw that interception late in the game. Like I just saved 4.
No reason.
Yeah. But Baker throws a late interception, and then Young hits a nice 34-yard reception that set up that go-ahead field goal. So,
and I feel bad for like Bucs fans around here. I live in that area, but I gotta say, great story for the Panthers.
It really is.
That's to go with this kind of turnaround. Like this is inspirational to us as Giants fans, hopefully, because we're hoping this is us next year. All of a sudden, we're good out of nowhere.
Well, let's make it so like you have to sit there and look at it. Like, who's the better GM thus far? Because Shane and what's his face, the Panthers were buddies and came up around the same time.
Well, Dan Morgan was a player when he was there too, so
yeah,
it's just I don't know what to say at this point. I feel bad for all the Giants fans out there, including us. It's just sad. It's just so sad.
Bob.
Just we say it can't get any worse. Like we got 3 wins. We have nowhere to go but up. Joe Shane's like, hold my beer. 2 wins.
Yeah.
We got the Bills at the Browns. A matchup that was much better than it should have been. Quite frankly, much better than it should have been. Bills end up squeaking out a win there, 23-20. Cleveland ran the ball for 160 yards, their highest mark since 2023. The Bills defense definitely struggled with third downs too, which helped extend drives. Browns went 8 for 14 on third down. Shedeur Sanders, some good, some bad. Had 2 interceptions. It took a really bad sack that would have been a potential game-winning drive for them as well to kind of end it too. So, but again, he's a rookie. These things happen when you're a rookie. Myles Garrett reaching 22 sacks on the season now, just 1 sack away from the single season record with 2 more games left. And why would you think he's not going to get it? I can't even tell you the last game he's had without a sack. It's ridiculous. Greg Rousseau also 2.5 sacks and 9 pressures in the game too. So absolute sick game by him. Kind of gets overshadowed because of Myles Garrett and how good he's been all year long, but damn good job by Greg Rousseau as well in this game.
Yeah, that defense just looked lights out. And then Shedeur got himself a nice pinky injury. I don't know if you saw that in the game.
Sipping tea in the sidelines with his pinkies
out.
No,
after he got pressured and taken down, his hand was on the ground. And I don't know who it was, but someone's cleat stepped right over his hand and I guess dove into his nail. They got up, you see him like this, with a whole bunch of flesh coming out. It's gross. Check it out.
Yeah, that's gross. Next game.
Yeah, next game. Talk about gross. Chargers beat up on the Cowboys 34-17 in a game where Justin Herbert just looked fantastic. The guy has entered this game being the most sacked quarterback in the league, but wasn't touched once in this game. And then he went 23 of 29 for 300 yards with 2 touchdowns and 45 rushing yards with a rushing touchdown. He was on fire. They came out on fire. Dallas had no answer for the Chargers offense, which Dallas, like their offensive defense looked a lot better this past month, but couldn't do anything. Chargers scored 3 of the first 4 possessions, which, yeah, I don't care who you are. It's hard to come out of the hole, especially when that offense isn't scoring on those drives. They fell down in the hole. Cowboys tried to make a crazy decision and try to go for it on a 4th and 1 on the Chargers 16, and they missed. They just couldn't get that first down. They could have went for the field goal, but decided against the points. It was a very brutal defensive game for the Chargers. I'm sorry, for the Cowboys.
Yeah, this is the worst they've looked in a long time. Like even when they've been losing, they've been close. This game, like they look bad. Speaking of looking bad, Bengals at the Dolphins.
Oh my God. Is that wrong with that game?
Bengals 45, Dolphins 21. Like, was he even freaking close for quite a while in this whole thing? So literally the Bengals all of a sudden 4 straight stops, 2 interceptions, a fumble, turnover on downs. Like the Bengals defense did that for 4 straight. That's never happens. Quinn Ewers was stepping in for the contractually injured Tua, who they just didn't want him to play so they can get rid of him at the end of the year. 10 of 12, 109 yards in the first half. So actually looked pretty solid, but end up, like I said, had 2 straight picks back to back, and that kind of kills any stat line there for you. Minkah Fitzpatrick was out for the Dolphins. They gave up 309 passing yards to Burrow. Crazy. But yeah, I mean, in the end, it's just 2 crappy teams, and one of them's got a good offense. So they found a way to put up points.
Kudos to the Bengals. Let's talk about another crappy game. The Jets host the Saints in a blowout. Saints win 29 to Jets 6. Obviously it's not a new story, but Jets bench Justin Fields. Brady Cook, who is their rookie quarterback, came out for the second straight week, and he decided to follow up with 2 turnovers. He's like, second week's on, then we go with 2 turnovers. Doesn't look good. He hasn't completed a reception past 9 yards in the air. He has taken 8 sacks. He is getting his butt walloped.
Womp.
And it's not just him. That defense for the Jets is now, I think they marked at 15 straight games without an interception.
That's very giant-like.
Yeah. It must be MetLife. Meanwhile, you had Tyler Shuck, who became the first QB to have 300 yards for the Saints since December of 2023. So kudos to him. And he did that without their top 3 running backs. So they pretty much put an offense game plan last minute for this guy, and he still went out there and threw for 300 yards. And he was drafted 5th overall, 5th round. Like
no, Chuck was like a 3rd round pick, I want to say, or a 4th round pick.
4th round, yeah. They didn't have a lot of faith in him to go long term. And he also did it with the help of Chris Olave, who.
Oh, actually, he was a 2nd round pick. He was actually earlier than I thought. He was a 2nd round pick. I thought it was a 3rd round pick myself, but no, 2nd round pick for Tyler Shuck.
Oh, I thought it was definitely later than that.
Yes, he was a 3rd quarterback taken in the draft, which is insane, by the way. That he was nowhere worthy of a 2nd round pick, but and I think that in the end, he's going to get competition next year, whether it's a new rookie quarterback or a veteran. Like he'd be good for a backup, I think, in this league.
Yeah, I said at the last week, he's improved every game he's played in. He's showing that he's taking the ability to learn and move the rock around, and because of him, they won the last 2 weeks, and also with the help of Chris Olave, who had 10 catches for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the real shitty game here. The Vikings at the Giants. And obviously, listen, Rob did the post game. I had my wife's birthday yesterday. Yeah, she was just born yesterday. No.
Whoa.
But yeah, we had listen, it's a crappy game. That was an ugly game, an absolutely ugly game. I did watch the game after the fact. Promised my wife I would not do football on Sunday, so I did watch it there today. Oh my God, was that a crappy game? I still want to see the replay better on the Abdul Carter offsides there to negate the big defensive touchdown, because quite frankly the Giants could have won that game if it wasn't for that play being called back.
Yeah,
like you literally were a differential in that, where you gave up a touchdown and took it away and called it late. That was a weird play, really weird play.
Very weird.
I'm glad it happened the way it did. I'm glad the Giants lost. I know I feel bad saying it every year when I do, but it is what it is. I want the better draft pick, and I want to lose this week so bad it's not even funny. So hopefully we continue losing. But rough game for Jackson Dart. Rough game for the Giants offense as a whole. Rough game for the offensive line, because we're down 2 people healthy, and we literally ran out of offensive linemen. One more got hurt. Chris Manhurst would have had to probably come in as being an offensive lineman.
Probably.
That's how bad it was. So, rough game. It is what it is. We're done. We got 2 more to go. So next up.
Come on, guys, get through it. Talk about another crappy game. And a game that a lot of people I don't think saw coming. You had the Chiefs going into Tennessee to just get beat up by the Titans.
Yes.
That was on no one's bingo card at the beginning of the season. Titans win 26 to the Chiefs 9. And first game without Patrick Mahomes in almost forever since he started. Took over Alex Smith's job years ago. He had Minshew come in, and he left after 3 plays when he banged up his knee. So that offense went from to
Yeah, and I can't even tell you how to pronounce this kid who was the third quarterback for the Chiefs that went in. Chris Aladokin. Who? What?
Yeah.
Imagine, as a fan, you go from Patrick Mahomes to Chris Aladokin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely not partying it anytime soon with that. That's for sure.
No. And that offense just got beat up that game. And you don't have your playmaker, Mahomes. I get it. He's arguably one of the best players in the NFL as it sits today. And it's just terrible. So Titans do what the Titans had to do. Defensive tackle Simmons comes in and records the safety when he tackles Kareem Hunt in the end zone, and just sets his tone where they never looked back. Cam Ward has looked like a serviceable quarterback in the NFL in the past few games. And getting better. Third straight multiple touchdown game where beginning of the year he couldn't put one up. And he's now has 6 touchdowns over the past 3 games. So kudos to him.
Yeah.
As a Giants fan, look at that.
Nobody around him. He has no talent around him at all.
No. Ward's looking to step in the pocket, manipulate that pocket a little bit more, and he's moving around instead of taking some sacks. So, kudos to him. He's looked a lot better, like Drew said, without the top there.
Yeah.
And who they pick up recently? The Lockett, right? They picked up Lockett over there, or was that the –
No, they cut him. He was on there. Tyler Lockett.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
That's so bad he wanted gone.
Yeah. Terrible.
Next up, game that no one cared about. The Falcons at the Cardinals. Because let's be honest, no one cared. No one.
No.
Not even Falcons or Cardinals fans. Both of them didn't care. But the Falcons won 26-19. Bijan Robinson had a monster game of the day, 67 rushing yards, 92 receiving yards, and a touchdown. It's his 5th game with over 150 scrimmage yards in the game there. Absolutely crazy. He cleared 2,000 scrimmage yards and is leading the league in yards from scrimmage this season. So he's just been, we said when they drafted him, remember, we were all like, what the hell? Why would you draft another running back? He'd have to do amazing to make that pick worthwhile. He's kind of done amazing.
Yeah.
So, I guess there was a good pick after all for him. Drake London returned from his strained PCL, which sounds like some kind of electronic device. Finished with 3 catches, 27 yards. So he definitely wasn't himself, but he was back at least. But Michael Carter for the Cardinals, 65 rushing yards. That was his season high. But let's be honest, he was never supposed to be playing like he has so many injuries in that Cardinals game. It's not even funny. Calais Campbell, little side note, blocked a field goal and an extra point now because of a block he had this week. He's the oldest player in NFL history to block both a field goal and extra point the same season now. And he's still good. That's the crazy part. He's still good. How many years we've been saying, wouldn't it be cool to get Calais Campbell with the Giants? It's like 3 or 4 years, I feel like. Like since we started it.
Yeah. It could have been nice, but let's talk about a game that a lot of people don't watch and probably a little crazier than a lot of people actually thought about.
Yeah, you got a much better game than I did.
Oh my God. This was the game that I was waiting for the weekend because I thought this was going to be a playoff game. And yeah, it turned out to be a little bit more one-sided than I originally thought. You had the Broncos hosting the Jaguars. And the Jaguars put up 34 against the Broncos 20. So much for that elite Broncos defense. Trevor Lawrence here had a field day. He scored 4 touchdowns on the day.
Remembers.
Whatever my day. 3 in the air, 1 on the ground, and which ESPN has described as one of the most impressive AFC wins of this season. Trevor Lawrence
matchup. This
is a fantastic matchup, and not only did Trevor Lawrence look good, but the Jags are on a 6-game winning streak, and with that, Trevor Lawrence has had 18 touchdowns, 6 of them through the air, 2 rushing, and he had 10 touchdowns over the past 2 games. He has looked fantastic. He's had help from Parker Washington, especially in this game, who had 145 receiving yards off of 6 catches, which also includes that 63-yard catch and run to set up that final touchdown, or one of the final touchdowns. It was an impressive bout of the Jaguars, and it really makes you look. I have to, after seeing this out, I would have to think that Jaguars set themselves up to probably close to the 1 seed in the NFC.
Remember, at the beginning of the year, it was how good the defense is, and the defense has still been good for the Jaguars, but now the offenses are rolling.
Yeah, well, defense is, both sides are working great because of that, there was a crucial pass interference in the end zone that set up another touchdown against Washington. But it was an impressive bout on both sides.
Damn straight it was. You know what was almost impressive? The goddamn Raiders got to finish the goddamn job. The Raiders couldn't quite get it done. Texans won 23-21. And I would have been so happy because that would mean the Titans won, the Raiders won, and the Giants were guaranteed at that point, unless they won both games somehow, to get the number 1 overall pick in this draft here. But nope, they couldn't help us out. Ashton Genty probably had his best game of the season. 128 rushing yards, 60 receiving yards, so 188 overall, and a touchdown, 26 touches in the game there. Became the first player since 2015 to log a 50-plus rushing touchdown and a 50-plus receiving touchdown in the same game. It's a weird stat, but it also tells you, again, what did I say? 188 total yards, 2 touches. We know he had 100 yards on 2 of those touches. So yes, it may have been on paper the best day, but really counted on 2 massive plays overall. Texans didn't even score a touchdown until less than 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. CJ Stroud did not have a good game in this one here, which is crazy because, again, you're playing the Raiders. They kind of suck. But, it is what it is there overall. But listen, sometimes you play down to an opponent. That's what happened in this game. And I thought this would be the game to be like the Texans coming out partying. I really did. They screwed the pooch in this one. That's for damn sure. So Texans win, but just barely.
Yeah. Another exciting game that was late on Sunday. Yeah, the Steelers go into Detroit. That back and forth
City.
Rock City.
Everybody's gonna leave their seats. Get down.
Everyone's gonna move their feet.
It depends on which lyric. Which chorus.
Yes. This game was just a back and forth game, and it kept going. You don't know who's going to win this game at times, but Detroit almost won the game, but they had an offensive pass interference on the final play that would have scored them the one touchdown, and they lose 24 to the Steelers 29.
Yes.
And they probably should have been more of a blowout because that run game for Detroit was horrendous.
Yeah.
God awful. You had Gibbs with 2 rushing yards and Montgomery with 14, which gave them a total of pretty much 15 on the day.
That'd be 16, Rob. Not that difficult. 2 plus 14.
Well, there's other people that run the ball. They got David the yards, true. They're not the only 2 out there, jerk. But those guys had
2 plus 14 equals
9. Jello. I just did the stats for those 2 guys. When you have the quarterback technically in Russian, you're such a jerk.
At least you knew it.
But that's also counterintuitive to not counterintuitive, but the complete opposite side of the ball because the Steelers were super effective at running the ball. They had 330 rush yards, which is one of the best, if not the best, under Tomlin. Like it was an impressive out on that day. And talk about a sucky situation. Lions offensive line. Their center went down and was ruled inactive because of his knee, and just allowed so many sacks because it was.
Keep in mind, their old center was going to come out of retirement, and then he couldn't pass the physical. All this wouldn't have happened if that had worked out better in their scenario. You know who showed the most fight in this game, though? DK Metcalf. Did you see what he did?
Oh, yeah. He's suspended for 2 games.
I know he is.
It's amazing. There's only 2 games left.
Now, I heard today, a fan was kind of talking trash to him, and he literally punched him. It seems like there's a history between this fan and DK Metcalf. Like, this has been a thing going back to his Seattle days. This guy would, start with him. Now, I saw on, again, it's TikTok, so, again, I won't guarantee the authenticity of it, but it seemed like an authentic video. Somebody in the stands, and you could see the guy, celebrating after he punched him. Like, this was totally a fan trying to get a player to do something to sue him later on. And I know that DK Metcalf came out and he said all kinds of things, including racial slurs against him. And the fan's lawyer is the one who responded to the allegations. That just tells you that I'm right there. Like, I'm sorry. Players are people too. You don't get to sit there and harass them nonstop and not deal with consequences. That's life. Now, should he have punched him? No, of course not. Should have security release, get him out of the stadium and stuff like that. But we've all done stupid stuff. We get angry.
Yeah.
So I hope that player enjoyed the game, and I hope it's his last. I hope that a fan enjoyed his game, and it's the last game he ever goes to.
You have to imagine because he just had the blue hair. Like, is he a Lions fan that was just harassing DK in Seattle? Or is he just
somebody had reported, and I forgot who. I'm sorry, there's a lot of articles on it today as things were kind of getting released bit by bit, but they had said that he'd been following him from his days in Seattle. So it's somebody that specifically looks to egg him on. which is just insanity considering how much money you're spending to go that close to the bench and stuff like that, just to try to piss off a player.
Well, he's looking for that payday.
I guess so. He'll need it just to pay for the tickets, though. Last game. Patriots at the Ravens. Patriots squeaked out a victory here, which also helped me squeak out a victory this week in the process. Drake May with his first 300-yard passing game in the season, 380 yards as he was on his way to a fourth-quarter comeback there. He did have 2 key turnovers, an interception and a lost fumble in the game as well. And the Patriots really haven't looked good when he hasn't looked good. This was kind of a key moment for the Patriots, for him to kind of stumble a little bit and then to still try to find a way to win it there. Travion Henderson had to get evaluated for a concussion. He was out for the game. Plus, they had several other players that left the game as well. Lamar Jackson left with a back injury and did not play the second half. His status going forward the rest of the season is kind of unknown. And Zay Flowers also had a key fumble with less than 2 minutes left as well, which kind of sealed the loss there for the Ravens. So, yeah, tough game for the Ravens there, but good game for
to watch.
Yeah, it's a fun game to watch overall. So, we got our last game going on still as we speak right now with the game for the 49ers and the Colts. As we speak, the Niners are up 34-20 with 4 minutes left to go in the third. So the over is definitely going to be the scenario here. Now the key is going to be exactly, do the Niners do just enough to get you that trifecta, Rob? Because that's what you're going to need. So as of right now, I'm up 4 points for the week. That's including the over-under to that Monday Night Football game. So the only thing else you could get from me is that trifecta if we all get that. So I've got a 3 or a 4 point win this week. So as of right now, I am officially up 441 to 429 points on the season. So, but again, we go into the postseason, guys. So still anything can happen, but good week overall. You and I are still doing over 60% on our overall wins. So that's pretty damn good. I'll take that.
Yeah. Your trifecta this week was that sealed the faith. You had 5 to my 1.
I know. 5 out of the 15 games so far, I had the winner, the spread pick, and the over-under. That's definitely not something we typically do. But I did have it 5 last week too.
Which to have repeat 5 and 5, that's impressive. Like we talk about having a 4 week, 3 week. Yeah, I'm looking at your last 6, 4, 5, 4, 5, 5. Good for you.
Yep. It's rolling. You're still crushing me on the over-unders, though. That's been your bread and butter. You're like 53% for the season on all the games. I'm just under 50. So you're still crushing me there. For now.
Yeah. Well, for now.
So, all right, guys. That's going to call it a night for us here. We'll be back again with you guys tomorrow. Keep in mind, holiday schedule. We will be on tomorrow instead of Wednesday. We're going to be on Friday instead of Thursday. That we all can enjoy your holiday. Don't have to worry about all the hoopla as far as the missing time with family to see the goofballs. Spend time with family. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll do our preview of what is hopefully the Giants securing the number 1 overall pick in this draft there with the loss to the Raiders. And of course, we'll go over all the latest, greatest Giants news with you guys as well. Again, we will be on tomorrow, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you guys then. As always, we are live on YouTube, the preferred platform, along with, of course, Facebook, X/Twitter, Twitch, and, of course, Rob's favorite,
my
LinkedIn profile. And, of course, as always, we are available the next day on the audio podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, all the big ones there. So if you haven't already, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button, tell a friend about the show. Appreciate you guys for watching, listening, supporting as always. And we will see you guys tomorrow. And as always, Giants fans, go G-Man!
Dream on!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.